Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday morning, July the 10th. A lot to talk about this morning. We have the continuation of some high heat and humidity in much of the eastern part of the nation, across the western third of the nation. For example, in the I-95 corridor region of D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, dew points this morning are well up in the 70s. Dew points are kind of a direct measure of overall humidity levels. The higher the dew point, the higher the overall humidity. And when you see dew points this time of the year, 75, 76, 77 degrees in places like DC, Philadelphia, New York City, that is extremely humid weather conditions. And throw in some heat, afternoon heat, well up in the 90s, and you have some high heat index values, and bottom line, very, very uncomfortable conditions. Looks like the heat will back off some in the Mid-Atlantic region on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but then return in full force Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, way back up in the 90s again, well up in the 90s again, it looks like Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. There is some rain to talk about this morning. We have the remains of Beryl across the now located across the northern Ohio Valley, and all this rain right here over the upper Midwest, the eastern and central Great Lakes, is associated with that leftover moisture from Hurricane Beryl. Again, it's situated right in this region right here, like the northern part of the Ohio Valley. Now, there are some showers out to the west of there, across Minnesota and Iowa, some across the Gulf region, and notice this little area of showers right here just off the southeast U.S. coastline. Actually, a little bit of a tropical wave tucked in right here off the southeast U.S. coastline. It actually plays a role in the enhanced chance for rainfall across the East Coast over the next few days, and we'll talk about that over the next couple of minutes. Meanwhile, out in the west, very hot and generally rain-free out across the western U.S. Well, let's take a look at last night's 0Z run of the Canadian model, and we're looking here at a kind of a weather parameter that I don't often show, but I think it's quite useful in a situation like this to show where the very, very humid air is and where the available precipitable water is high. You can get some very heavy rainfall, and it's really indicated on these maps by the green here. The dry represents below normal precipitable water amounts, in other words, drier than normal air. So here we are beginning the day here again, the remnant low of Hurricane Beryl right here over the northern Ohio Valley. We saw on that radar very heavy rainfall right now across the upper Midwest, the central and eastern Great Lakes. On the eastern side of this remnant low, very, very moist air, tropical moisture here with a southerly flow of air pumping in that tropical moisture all the way from the southwestern Atlantic, the Gulf region, into the eastern seaboard and up along the East Coast all the way to New England. Now, we'll see here what happens over the next few days. It's and we're definitely looking at an enhanced chance for afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms each of the next few days along the eastern seaboard and the eastern third of the nation. Any shower or thunderstorm from today right into the upcoming weekend can produce some very heavy rainfall. So it's something that we'll have to monitor closely over the next few days as to whether, for example, flash flood warnings will have to be issued here. And of course, it's been relatively rain-free, only sporadic rainfall over the last few weeks in the Mid-Atlantic region. Lots of lawns are turning brown. Some areas have gotten drenched in thunderstorms, whereas nearby areas have largely remained rain-free during each of the past couple of weeks here. Now, let's move forward here and watch what happens here. We have this plume of very moist air riding all the way up the eastern seaboard over the next 12 to 24 hours or so, and it tends to stick around here right into the upcoming weekend. And we'll show that right here, again, using the Canadian model. It appears as if that real moist air would push off the East Coast, but then it kind of stalls out, and there's a stalling out frontal system that pretty much will be oriented northeast to southwest right along the East Coast, acting as a conduit for moisture, tropical moisture, to flow northward from the southwest Atlantic, the Gulf region, right up into New England. This is the forecast map as of tomorrow afternoon. Then watch what happens right here. Again, remember we mentioned kind of a tropical system right in this region. In fact, you can even see the barbs here, the wind barbs, right in this region right here. Let's pull this over here and draw it right in this region right here. It's kind of a circulation here. There's actually a little bit of a tropical wave right in here. And this, again, this is the forecast map for tomorrow afternoon. Now, let's move forward here and watch what happens. This plume starts to back to the west. Notice that it really moves back to the west, and here we go, kind of a weak low pressure, kind of a tropical wave playing a role here in enhancing the moisture amounts right along the eastern seaboard. This is all the way into tomorrow night and then into the day on Friday. Very, very humid look to this, with this tropical wave enhancing the situation here and enhancing the chance for some very heavy rainfall right along the East Coast, all the way up from the Carolinas to New England. Again, this is all the way now into the day on Friday, and it sticks around right into the early part of the weekend. Here we go by Saturday morning. Again, a weak tropical wave showing up here over the eastern Carolinas, the Outer Banks region. Still very humid conditions right along the eastern seaboard from the Carolinas to New England. And then that finally kicks on out by the time we get to the second half of the upcoming weekend in the Mid-Atlantic region. It dries out, excuse me, a diminished chance of rainfall on Sunday, but the high heat, which will back off some on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, should return in full force on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, well up in the 90s Sunday afternoon, Monday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Now let's take a look at the 850 millibar temperature anomalies here as we begin the day here on Wednesday morning, July the 10th. Again, very, very hot conditions out across the West Coast. They've had some excessive heat out there. Death Valley, for example, today will climb all the way up into about the upper 120s, let's say 127, 128 at Furnace Creek. And I mentioned Death Valley because I have a posting right now at arcfieldweather.com regarding the highest temperature ever recorded in Death Valley 111 years ago. Very interesting story. If you get a chance, take a look at it at arcfieldweather.com regarding 134 degree temperature reading, the hottest ever recorded on this date, July the 10th, in the Furnace Creek area of Death Valley. Very interesting story because it kind of has an interesting twist to the global record. And 1913 happened to be an amazing year in many respects, but with respect to the weather, very interesting year indeed, and it included this 134 degree temperature reading in Death Valley. Again, very, very hot out across the west, very hot across the east, especially the mid-Atlantic and northeastern part of the nation. But notice much of the middle of the nation as we begin the day here on Wednesday, a trough situated over the middle part of the nation, keeping it normal or even below normal across the heartland here, and that's certainly welcome to those people right now. Now let's move forward here, and again, there will be a back off of the extreme heat on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the Mid-Atlantic region, as some of this cooler than normal air or normal air spreads to the east here by the time we get to Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Probably much of the I-95 corridor region, for example, will hold in the 80s for highs on Friday, which is certainly an improvement compared to today. And by the way, certainly better conditions than what will come back to the I-95 corridor for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. In fact, we'll go out a little farther in time. Here we go into the upcoming weekend, and still decent temperatures in the Mid-Atlantic region, a little bit above normal, a little bit below normal, but by the time we get to Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, we get back into the heat. This is all the way into late Sunday, and then Monday, and finally into Tuesday. We're talking mid to upper 90s possibly for highs Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. There is some cooler than normal air on the map, though. Look at this. Over the northern plains here by certainly by the middle part of next week. Well, let's take a look at the 500 millibar height anomaly forecast matched by the 0Z Canadian model run. Again, we have this low pressure upper level trough situated over the upper part of the Midwest and high pressure ridging right here over the western Atlantic. And the combination of the two aiding in that long fetch of southerly air riding up from southwest to northeast across the Atlantic seaboard here, and it's pumping in lots of moisture. You have very moist air, the Gulf of Mexico, very moist air over the southwest Atlantic, and it's all being pumped up, given the pressure pattern across the eastern part of the nation, pumped up high levels of moisture all the way from the Carolinas into New England, enhancing the chance for some very heavy rainfall each of the next few days. It certainly will not rain all the time, certainly not total washouts any of these next few days. However, any shower or thunderstorm that forms, and this goes all the way into Saturday, can produce some very heavy rainfall in any of this part of the nation here. Now, let's clear the deck here and move forward in these forecast maps here. And again, we have this upper level trough that tends to slowly weaken over the next few days. And notice this high pressure ridging starting to strengthen by the time we get to the end of the week, and by the time we get to the latter part of the upcoming weekend. Here we go into Sunday and finally into Monday. And when you see high pressure ridging aloft throughout much of the nation, you can expect hot conditions in the middle of July across much of the nation. And again, temperatures will back off some Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the Mid-Atlantic region, but then they'll return in full force to the mid and upper 90s for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Now let's walk through the surface forecast maps from last night's 0Z run of the Canadian model. The remains of Beryl right here is a weak tropical low, remnant tropical low over the northern Ohio Valley. Even though it's a weak low pressure system, it has tremendous amounts of moisture and lots of heavy rainfall today across the upper Midwest, the central and eastern Great Lakes. Now, even though it is well to the north and west of the I-95 corridor region, it is contributing to a southerly flow of air with lots of moisture right along the east coast, and that certainly enhances the chance for some very heavy rainfall. Throw in some daytime heating, which we'll get over the next few hours, and the atmosphere will become increasingly unstable given these high levels of moisture. And by the way, a stalled out frontal system right along the eastern seaboard, and you have a likely pattern of more numerous showers and thunderstorms this afternoon and this evening, and that will repeat Thursday, Friday, and probably Saturday as well. Let's move forward here, and here we go with likely maybe a line of strong thunderstorms by later this evening in the interior parts of the Mid-Atlantic region. Probably the best chance for some of these strong storms will be to the north and west of I-95, let's say the suburbs of D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and points north and west of there later on in the early to mid, even in the late evening hours. And here again, the remnants of Beryl situated over the eastern Great Lakes early tonight. And some of this rain, no doubt, will be heavy at times. The atmosphere is primed to dump a lot of rainfall anywhere in the eastern third of the nation any of the next 3 or 4 days here. And we'll move forward here. And here is the tropical wave here by the time we get to midday on Thursday. Again, we talked about a tropical wave kind of tucked in just off the southeast U.S. coastline, and it kind of backs to the north and west right here and enhances that rainfall threat here across the Atlantic seaboard here, places like the Delmarva Peninsula. This is all the way now into the latter part of Friday. Watch out for some possible flash flooding type thunderstorm activity on Friday in much of the eastern part of the nation, especially the Mid-Atlantic region, even all the way into southern New England. Again, Rainfall threat enhanced by tropical moisture. First, the tropical moisture left behind by Beryl, and now throw in another tropical wave that today is just off the southeast U.S. coastline. It backs into the Carolinas here by the time we get to the end of the work week. We're talking about Friday, and that threat continues right here into the day on Saturday. This is Saturday morning. Chesapeake Bay region, for example, the Delmarva Peninsula could have some very heavy rainfall, maybe some flash flooding concerns all the way into the early part of the upcoming weekend. And then after that, that finally pulls away. The rain chances diminish in the Mid-Atlantic region on Sunday, but the heat returns, probably mid to upper 90s Sunday afternoon, Monday afternoon, even Tuesday afternoon, perhaps all the way into the middle of next week throughout much of the Midwest and eastern part of the nation, the Mid-Atlantic region, the northeastern U.S. So we're certainly not out of the woods yet with this high heat in the eastern part of the nation. Very high humidity levels as well today. All that backs off a little bit Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but there'll be kind of an enhanced chance of some heavy rainfall each of the next few days in the Mid-Atlantic region, northeast U.S., and really throughout much of the eastern part of the nation. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.